This is Claim Your Potential, the Empowerment Podcast. I'm Sofie Lindberg, your host and the Executive Director of Claim Your Potential. Get ready to embark on a transformative journey where we empower women and girls to unlock their full potential in every aspect of life. It's time to claim your potential and step into a life of empowerment. Tune in every Tuesday as we ignite your inner strength, provide actionable insights, and empower you to achieve greatness. So, are you ready to claim your potential? Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Claim Your Potential, the Empowerment Podcast. I'm your host, Sofie, and for this episode, we are joined by Rebecca Folsom to discuss alignment of decisions and self. Born and raised in Boulder, Colorado, Rebecca's formative years were inspired by the alternative pulse that beats in a town nestled in the foothills of the Rocky Mountains. She grew up running trails and writing songs amongst the pines and aspens, capturing inspiration from the plethora of spiritual teachings along with the sanctuary of the natural world. Seasoned in a 20-year Zen Buddhism study, Rebecca meets these changing times with a much-needed center on relaxing into the wisdom of uncertainty. It's in the open spirit of being teachable that Rebecca has traversed the many bridges that have led to her latest album, Sanctuary. In the spirit of collaboration, Rebecca wrote the songs for this album with activists, Zen masters, New York Times bestselling authors, Forbes America's 100 Self-Made Women, social justice organizations, and those impacted in compromised and disempowered situations. For more than 30 years, she has been a transformational teacher and leadership coach. Nicknamed the creativity shaman by her clients of all ages and backgrounds, Rebecca has inspired thousands of individuals, large and small groups, and leadership teams of national and international corporations. She helps all seekers break down limitations, open more creative flow, and embrace more amazing life experiences. Please welcome Rebecca Folsom. Thank you so much for being with us today, Rebecca.
Thank you, Sofie. It's a pleasure. I am glad to be here this morning.
It is such a pleasure to have you on. You have had such a really well-rounded experience. Oh my goodness. I am so excited to jump into a lot of these, but I would love to start off with, your music career and your last album you created in collaboration with many different groups of people. And can you walk us through, how this was possible and what that process was like working with so many people, especially those involved in, the activism space, as well as, people involved in that social justice space, that, writing space. I'd love to hear a little bit more about, that process, that journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this album, it's called Sanctuary, and it was super collaborative. And that was always my mission from the very beginning, was the idea that that I would bridge people that are very undervoiced in our communities, in our world, and bring them to people who have platforms of power, basically. So moving with people that were homeless and with the staff at the homeless shelters, going into prisons and working with prisoners, working with refugee kids, and then working with nonprofits that are already doing really fantastic work with these groups. And then, bringing that to Grammy-winning producers and, just amazing musicians. And now we're at the point where the album is complete. We released it in March, and it's number one on the folk radio charts. So, I'm using my platform of having a stage, having a broadcast system in our nation. I'm small, I'm a folk artist. So, being a big folk artist, yet I'm able to take these collaborations that we created to that. And, and now we're putting together we're going to submit for a Grammy. My vision was always to take the most quiet voices and whatever I can do to bring them to the biggest stages, to bring them to the mainstream.
Yeah. And I want to say, thank you for the work you're doing there. And it's so amazing how much, impact that you can have and you can create. And, I always enjoy when people use their platform for good. And it seems like, that's what you're doing is you're saying, all right, I have this platform rather than, using it for, commercial success. I also want to, create this community of people that can really help change the world and help show people that, hey, it's possible to do this and it's possible to use your voice. And so I think that's so amazing that you're doing that.
Yeah. And what I would say too is, I mean, one, I got so much out of this experience. It tenfold, I think, of what I gave. And it really it is something I think as a woman, as a young woman, to feel into what are we going to offer to the world? What are we going to give back? And there's a couple things I feel about that. One, why I wanted to do this, but two, just touching on something you're talking about, that they are hand in hand, changing the world and having commercial success. That's something that I think as a woman, we're sort of trained that they're either or, that it's like, I will give myself to others, or I will, and it's like, yes, give and get, that there's a very healthy loop there that happens. And I think there's work to be done for men and women, but particularly women, on learning to receive and allowing themselves to be paid well for what we do, to get something in return for what we do. And not that I went into this with like, oh, I'm going to get something back, like I'm going to give this and you're going to give that. I don't really believe in tit for tat that way. I believe in generously just offering what I've got and being very, very open to receiving great things, to receiving love, money, admiration, respect, fame, all those things. And it's been a real process for me to drop into wanting that power and allowing that for myself. And one of the shift moves for me around that, and it was actually with a coach, a wonderful coach, Wendy White, and she's with a group called Let's Choose Love, and they're all about grants for people doing creative projects. And she helped me align to be on the road so that I win a Grammy. And with that, it basically was a dance with power. And I was like, oh, I don't want to be like selfish, and I don't want it to be all about me. And she said, you are a good person. You have a good heart. It's like you have a track record of giving back. She said, you want power and you're going to do power for good. And I think something shifted in me. It's like, oh, one, I can trust myself with power. And two, why not me? Because I can bring positive change into the world with the power that I'm given. So anyway, that was a whole long thing, but yeah. Anyway, I loved what you brought up about commercial success and changing the world, and that they really can go hand in hand.
Yeah, and that was what one of my questions was, really trying to figure out, all right, you have this amazing vision, and then how does that translate, with appeasing, all right, I have, people that are financially backing me on these projects that I have to, show that commercial success to, but at the same time, I'm the artist and I want to make sure that, it's not successful just financially, but it's also successful in terms of the vision that I have and that vision really coming to life. And so, I loved that you mentioned that balance. If you wanted to elaborate on that, because that was one of my next questions was how do you balance that? Your creative vision with commercial success.
Yeah, and artistic integrity, and honestly, all the creative balance and the artistic integrity. It's like it really is just personal integrity. And I have learned, gosh, there's a book that changed my life, and it's called The Big Leap. It's by Gay Hendricks. And, again, we're talking about, empowering women and girls. And, it's funny because I really went forward, like I want to meet Gay, I want to study with him. And I ended up meeting his wife, Katie Hendricks, who I have fallen in love with. She has also written New York Times bestselling, books, and she's totally changed my life. And, one of the things that I learned I already kind of knew, but I didn't really know how to practice. And it was being in my personal integrity. And that's not like a moral integrity. It's more about being absolutely authentic and true to myself. So a very simple exercise around, well, I call it my binary code of creative living is my yeses and my nos. So if I have an internal yes to something in my life, that I don't wait on that, or I don't hold it back or say, oh, that's too much, or, and if I have a no, that I say no. And, believe me, I had to learn this a little bit the hard way. I said yes to things I had no's to. And as I got more and more aware of the power of being authentic and true to my yes and no, those consequences when I overrode myself got even bigger. And, I won't go into the stories, but there were a few sort of career catastrophes that happened because everything looked good. It should have been a yes. My team wanted me to do it. My agents wanted me to do it. It looked great. But I would tune into my body and my body would be like, no, this doesn't feel good. Yet I did it because I thought, one, I wanted to make them happy. And two, I thought it would make me money, all the various different reasons that we might override ourselves. And, and they were disasters. And I learned, and I was actually thankful for the disaster, for the failures along the way, because I really got it. I just got like, man, my life is a very, very different, fast, fluid, creative life when I am true to my yes and my no. So I would say that it sort of becomes a fundamental dance with all of it. So, if I want to work with someone, I'll get a sense of, oh yeah, I love this person. I light up inside, and even though they may not be the better candidate or the this or that, it's like, if I'm lighting up like that, it's a go. And the same if I'm getting a, kind of feeling to it, it's a no. I like that. It's a go or it's a no.
I know it rhymed. I was like, oh,
I
that's
know. It's
cute.
like,
I
come
like
on,
that.
you might want a song.
And I love that you mentioned that because so often we really ignore that gut. And I have had a couple of guests on and we've talked about this. And, when you ignore that gut feeling, when you ignore that part of you that's saying, I don't know why, but this doesn't seem like a good idea. And even if you can't put your finger on it, there's that little gut feeling of there's something off with this. I don't know what it is, but this doesn't feel right. It's not sitting well. And every time that we ignore that part, every time we're like, well, you know what, my boss, thinks I should do it anyways, or my parents think I should do it anyways, or, my manager thinks I should do it anyways, or, you know what, my friend is doing it. I might as well just do it. It's, what could go wrong? It's fine. This seems like the right decision. People are pushing me. People think this might be, what's best for me. Okay, I'll just try it out. And every time that happens, 9 times out of 10, if not 10 out of 10, it doesn't go well because that gut feeling was trying to tell you that, hey, there's going to be something wrong here.
Yeah, that it's not in alignment with you. And it's really not personal. It may be great for someone else. It may be great later. It just may be the timing isn't quite right. But I think, when we have that internal tuning fork and it gives us a read like that, it's saying this is in alignment or it's out of alignment. For me, and if I do something that's out of alignment, there's going to be friction. There's going to be, just like you think of a rocket, or any sort of mechanical thing. It's like if something is out of alignment, it's going to go, it's going to shake. So that always helps me because when I have a no, just be like, it's not personal. It's not like I'm better than someone else or worse than someone else or I'm worse if they have a no to me, and really celebrating no. When somebody brings a no to me, I just did a big donation ask, around my project and someone came back with a no, and there are plenty of yeses, everything works, but I didn't get all torn up about it. Like I didn't have to wait a lot around it, like chew on it and be like, oh, what's wrong? Or is there something wrong with me? And I really just like, oh, it's no, it just, to me, no is flow. If somebody is hanging out with a maybe, and, I think this is huge for women. If someone is a relationship or a job situation, and they're stringing you along with a maybe, or they're saying yes, but everything in their behavior or their body language is saying no, that you're stuck. Like your creative flow is not happening. So to me, no is flow. If that person said no, it was like, great, all right, then I'm going to move on to a different area where I think I can make some, money for my project.
Exactly. And I love that you said that, that maybe that in between is, one of the worst places to be in. And I think we, a lot of the time, see, all right, yes is the best. Maybe is, the next best thing. Maybe is kind of like, all right, they might be interested. So, I'm going to hold out some hope. And then we get so disappointed with no. And I think that really we need to rework that, reframe that, and realize no means you already got your decision. You're not stuck, trying to figure out what they're thinking. You're not stuck going, oh gosh, do they like me? I don't know. Do they want to be with me? I don't know. Do they want to support this project? I don't know. Oh gosh, you get that exact reaction of, okay, maybe it's just not right for them. It'll be right for someone else. That's okay. Moving on. And then same thing with that yes side, right? Where it's that immediate decision of, oh, okay, they like me, they like this project, they like what I'm doing. Great, let's move forward. But then when you're in that maybe, right? The maybe is the worst place to be because you're stuck wondering, is it a yes? Is it a no?
Right. It's an eddy. It's like an eddy in the flow of it all. Yeah. Yeah. And, speaking about the yeses, it's like they're worth attention to. I think so many people have a yes to something and then they're sort of like their heart wings go out, like, yes, I want to do this. And then they go, oh, but, and then there's the litany of reasons, oh, I can't possibly do that. Or I'll be too much, or, that's too selfish, or whatever their reasons around it, or it's going to cost too much, or, all these different things of why we would override a yes. And I think there are so many people out there, when I'm coaching people, we're so getting to what their yeses are and following the yes. The no is basically like, it's the rock to get around in the stream. It's like, okay, let's not hang out here behind this rock. Let's get out from behind it and get back in the flow. So the yes is the focus. It's where, and it gets so exciting at that point. Like, oh, I have a yes to this. And people get really lit up, around their yeses. So, I think often it's a job of a coach to help someone ignite their yes and really start to take steps. And I think that's a big part of it is then you just begin. You just start going towards your yes. There's something called like I call it like the life compass, and feeling into, what do I really want to accomplish in my life? Or it was Gay Hendricks actually brought this up. It's called the 5 deathbed wishes. And it's, you sort of envision yourself at the end of your life going, wow, my life was a success because I did blah, 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 blah. I did these 5 things. Or you could do it the other way. Wow, my life wasn't a full success. I regret because I didn't do these 5 things. And, I have that up in my office. I'm looking at it right now. It's a reminder to me all the time. One of my top 5 is to inspire and inspire myself, inspire others. Another one is to be in love, to love myself, to love others, to allow others to love me, let there be an exchange of love. And another one is to be fully self-expressed. So not to hold back what I want to say or what I want to sing, to allow myself to be on bigger stages and broadcast my full potential.
Yeah. And, as you were talking about, those 5 deathbed wishes, all of them were really resonating with me. And I, think that that's such a great tool I will definitely be using that, but also for listeners to use to really think about, those decisions. And, when you're approaching a new opportunity or a new relationship with someone, really breaking down those, 5 deathbed wishes and asking yourself, all right, if I associate with this person, or if I, do this job, or if I participate in this experience, will I inspire? Will I feel love? Will I be showing love? Will I be expressing myself, my beliefs, my values, and really asking yourself those questions
Yes.
and, to get that alignment. And so I think that's such a fantastic tool that, we can really use
Yes.
to figure out those yes moments. And, that, how you said that, when we have that yes, a lot of the time we hold ourselves back. We're like, yes, but I don't have
Right.
time, or yes,
This
but
little, yeah, there's a little anchor we put out rather than just letting ourselves go.
exactly. And so we can use those questions, I feel like, to really get that yes and turn it away from yes, but, and turn it into yes, this gets, this deathbed wish. It approaches that wish. All right, I have to do it then.
Absolutely. It's such a great help. It's a compass in making our decisions in life. So, feeling into just exactly what you said. I love that you went there because, if you're sort of going, oh, well, should I move or should I take this job or should I take this gig or, whatever, or should I take this client? With it, it's like, oh, does that, it actually works. I do. I feel like that feeds 3 of my life compass, goals. So it can be super helpful in that place. The other one is if you find yourself in a situation where you're not happy with something, like I've made some choices and then it's like, oh, wow, this is tough. This is a little rougher than I thought, or there's an issue here, or, there's dissonance with a group or something is happening, to be able to go back to my life compass and be with, okay, so someone is disgruntled in a situation, where I'm leading and I am committed to being in love. So what kind of move can I make? Maybe moving out of defensiveness, or maybe it's a loving act to let that person go. I mean, it isn't always just sort of, flowers and light, but it is coming from a place of love. So it's great for even when finding yourself in a situation where you're not, completely happy with it all. I mean, there's another great thing called yes and it's basically improv. If you're a comedian improv
Yeah.
person, and really to do yes and with life is, I have found this to be so juicy that something is going on and it's like, yes, that's happening. And what am I going to do with it? Like you said, the yes, but thing, it really sort of tries to negate what is actually happening. So being with like, yes, this is happening. And what are we going to do with it? And for me, I like to think of it, it was a big shift for me when I began to think of the universe totally in my favor. So that no matter what was happening, oh, the universe has my back. So what is this bringing? What is it bringing that's better for me? Rather than thinking that I failed or the world failed me or people fail, looking at it like, oh, okay, this is going this way. It seems cattywampus, or it seems, well, what is this? And to open into wonder and to open into a place of, wow, the universe has my back. What's coming? What could be the good thing?
Absolutely. It's that, that glass half full versus half empty mentality of not, why is the universe out to get me? Why does nothing good happen to me? And rather, all right, this might have been a hiccup, but I know that there's good coming. I know that there's a lesson from this experience. Even though it might have been awful in the moment, I know that there is a reason that this happened. Maybe it was to lead me down a different path. Maybe it was to a new person, to a new career, to a new city, something like that. And so to tie everything together, what is one thing that our listeners should take away from this conversation?
Yeah, well, I feel like sometimes when we're out there doing our work in life, we, work and our relationships, all of it, we think, well, what difference does it make? Like what am I doing that, or I'm too small, I need to be bigger, And especially as a musician, that can come up. You look higher, like, well, I'm not anywhere near Taylor Swift, or I'm not getting the streams like this or the likes like this, or, but you can also look behind you and be, other people are really admiring you. And so with it, what I would say is that you've got to follow your passion. You've got to follow your yeses and to trust that your ripple of whatever it is that you're doing will ripple out into the world and impact the world. And you never even know. I mean, I've seen some people that they did things in their life and they didn't even see their ripple till after they were gone. So sometimes you don't even know what your legacy is with that. So trusting your inner compass, absolutely coming home to yourself, being true to yourself, and trusting that ripple is going to make a difference in the world.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I think that especially for me, I'm in the nonprofit sector. It can be really hard to, think long term and to think about, all right, is the work I'm doing right now actually having an impact? Is there going to be an impact when I'm gone? And I think that's something a lot of us in the industry face is figuring out, all right, I know that, there might be an immediate success, but, how does that continue, after I'm gone? How does that continue beyond, this day, this month, this year? What does that look like in the big picture of life? And so I want to, say thank you for sharing that perspective with us. And for our listeners that would love to get in contact with you, connect with you, how can they do that?
Probably my website is the best because on my website, you can find my Facebook and my Instagram and my Twitter and, all. And on the website, it is everything about my sanctuary project and what we're up to. You can listen to it. We really wanted to bring impactful messages to the world through beauty, through beautiful music. So it's my name, which is RebeccaFolsom.com. So it's just RebeccaFolsom.com. So super easy, hop on there, run around, check it all out, and stream the music. That would be great. That makes a big difference for us. And come to a show. I travel all over the nation.
Amazing. I want to say thank you so much for coming onto the podcast, Rebecca. You have been an absolute pleasure to talk with. And I think there's a lot of lessons that not just I'm taking away, but a lot of our listeners can really take away from this conversation. And so I want to say thank you again so much for coming on and sharing your wisdom.
Oh, thank you, Sofie. It's a beautiful thing you are doing. I love Claim Your Potential.
Thank you so much. That brings us to the end of another empowering episode on Claim Your Potential, the Empowerment Podcast. Thanks for listening. If you've enjoyed our show and want to learn more about the work we do, you can visit our website, claimyourpotential.org. There, you can access our tools and workbooks, sign up for workshops, join our mentorship program, listen to previous and future episodes, donate to support our cause, and find out how you can get involved. For even more inspiring content, follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Claim Potential, where we share inspiration, educational resources, episode and program announcements, and other content designed to help you reach your full potential. Your support means the world to us, and a free way to support our show is by leaving a rating and review on the podcast streaming platform of your choice. Your feedback helps us grow and reach even more people with our empowering message. If you're unsure of how to do this, head over to our website's Leave a Review page for step-by-step instructions. Thank you to each and every one of you for being a part of this empowering community. Tune in next time as we continue our journey of learning and discover even more ways to claim your potential. Until then, remember that you have the power to create the life you desire. Keep striving and keep growing.